Now, Western countries were quick to criticize Myanmar for crackdown on Rohingya. Hundreds and thousands of them fled to neighbouring Bangladesh. Monsoon is arriving. Is Bangladesh getting any assistance to take care of these refugees? Bangladesh is not hopeful. As we all know, Western countries were quick to criticize Myanmar for the crackdown on Rohingyas. But now, with the monsoons arriving in Bangladesh, is there any assistance to take care of these refugees? That is the big issue plaguing the Rohingyas in Bangladesh. And clearly, there seems to be not much being done for the Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh. Bangladesh is currently spending over $280 million, but the settlement of the Rohingya refugees seems to have become a plaguing matter of concern for the refugees there. And to give us more details on this news story, I'm joined in by our correspondent Mohammed Saleh from the newsroom. Mohammed, clearly the Rohingya issue just seems to escalate further, and with no assistance being provided to them now in Bangladesh with monsoons round the corner, this problem seems to be snowballing further.
That's exactly correct, Kanchana. What has happened in this case is that ever since the persecution which started by the Myanmarese military last August, we had a situation where as many as 800,000 Rohingyas had actually had to flee from the Rakhine province and cross over into Bangladesh. Now, at that point of time, there was widespread condemnation. The United States and the Western world, for the very first time, woke up to the crisis that was playing out in the Rakhine province. They, for the first time, started to open up and see as to what was in fact happening with Rohingyas, who have been widely described as the most persecuted community anywhere in the world. Now, the fact of the matter is, for so long, there has been such little action that has in fact been taking place by the Western powers on Myanmar for this sort of persecution. But it all appears to be lip service, because at this point of time, what has happened? The situation is that the Rohingyas who had crossed over from Myanmar into Bangladesh, most of them are put up in some of the most squalid conditions that one can think of. 800,000 of them, camped in utter squalor in an area called Cox's Bazar. Now, Bangladesh and Myanmar are, of course, trying to work out a repatriation deal, which has in fact got slowed down because Myanmar does not now recognize every individual who's crossed over the border in Bangladesh as a valid, legitimate Rohingya who's crossed over. Now, what Bangladesh, of course, wants to come up with, they want to try and for a sort of a makeshift temporary sort of an arrangement, have these Rohingyas stay on an island called Char Basar, which is in the Bay of Bengal off the coast of Bangladesh. Now, there are several people who, of course, raised concerns stating that this is an island which is essentially a silt island, which is formed because of the deposition of silt there, and something that is prone to cyclones and other such natural calamities. Now, Bangladesh says, look, it takes as much as $218 million. They've appealed to the United Nations to try and provide funds. The United Nations, in turn, because remember, it depends on its member nations, has appealed to its member nations for the funds. But the funds are simply not coming through. Bangladesh, considering its economic health, is not exactly in a position to try provide for all of these refugees who've crossed over from Myanmar. At this point of time, what needs to be looked at is the international community. We saw a bit of lip service coming in from the United Kingdom, from the United States, from Germany, etc. But when it comes to loosening up their pockets to try and make some sort of meaningful change for the Rohingyas, that has not happened, nor has Myanmar been taken to task for the kind of crackdown that it has carried out. It was described as a textbook example of crimes against humanity. The word genocide was also used for the kind of massacres and persecutions which the Rohingyas, in fact, witnessed in the course of the last 7-8 months. But when it comes to actual hard action from the Western powers, that has not been seen. And even in providing humanitarian aid, the Western nations, they seem to be less than willing, less than enthusiastic in coming forth and giving the funds which now Bangladesh is trying to come up of its own limited resources.
Right. Thank you so much, Saleh, for bringing us all those details. And yes, the big question remains that why is the West choosing to be silent on such a plaguing matter?